Murder in the name of Satan is not new or as uncommon as we would like to think. However, when we hear about the kinds of acts that are typical in satanic ritual, the details are so brutal that they are almost impossible to fathom. What happened to Corian Cervantes is no exception. Corian was a 15-year-old girl who liked to listen to music and take selfies, just like any other teenager. In February of 2014 her life was brutally cut short by two boys who went to the same alternative school as Corian in Clear Lake, Texas. The 16-year-old boy, Jose Reyes, had already sold his soul to the devil, and devil worship items were subsequently found in his room. His friend, Victor Alas, 15, also wanted to sell his soul to the devil, and he asked Reyes if he could accomplish that by murdering someone. Reyes said yes. Together they decided they would perform a heinous satanic ritual in which they would rape, bludgeon, and mutilate a beautiful girl as an initiation rite for Alas. Victor Alas and Jose Reyes lured 15-year-old Corian into an abandoned house where she was sexually assaulted, tortured and murdered. Alas, a couple of his male friends, and Corian, all teenagers, became acquainted with a middle-aged woman who lived in a nearby apartment. That woman began to allow the teenagers to use her apartment to drink and smoke marijuana. One night, the teenagers took Xanax before meeting at the apartment. Although Corian had experience with alcohol and marijuana, this was the first time she had used Xanax. After a couple of hours in the apartment, Corian became very intoxicated. She was slurring her words and stumbling, and she needed assistance to walk. The apartment owner agreed that Corian could spend the night. When Corian went to the bedroom, Alas went with her. According to Victor Alas, they began a consensual physical encounter in the bedroom. They were interrupted when their friend, Jose Reyes, knocked on the bedroom door. The owner did not like that the boys were in her bedroom and told them to leave the apartment. Instead of spending the night at the apartment as planned, Corian left with Alas and Reyes. The three went to a vacant apartment approximately 1 block away that the teenagers frequently visited to take drugs. There, all three went into an empty closet and, according to Alas, had consensual physical encounter. However the encounter began, it quickly turned into a brutal, physical attack on Corian. She was struck in the head 15 times with an ashtray and a toilet tank lid. She was brutally tortured to death. There was evidence that most of the injuries occurred while Corian was still alive. Her body was discovered few days later when a passerby noticed the door to the apartment open. When he went in, he found Corian's disfigured body. Reyes and Alas had placed religious objects around her body. After the murder, Reyes told two people explicit details about what they had done to Corian. The police quickly received a lead that Jose Reyes and Victor Alas were involved. A witness said that he laughed and smiled while he boasted about the gruesome acts. She didn't take it seriously, because it seemed just too bizarre for her believe. Reyes was arrested first. Then, Alas was arrested, midday, at the alternative school he attended. He was taken to a magistrate for warnings. Afterwards, he was taken to be interviewed in the homicide division, where he gave a statement. Once the police arrested Reyes, he confessed to the interrogators. He explained that he was just doing what the devil told him to do, and that the devil watched the whole time they were doing it. Later in court, Reyes smiled for the cameras. Victor Alas told the police that he participated in consensual sex with Corian and Jose Reyes in the empty apartment closet, but denied that he played any role in the attack other than briefly choking Corian with a belt. He said he put the belt around her neck but eventually removed it, leaving her gasping for air. He told the police that he did not cause any of her physical injuries and was not physically involved in causing her death. He blamed Reyes for her injuries and death. According to Victor Alas, when Reyes began attacking Corian, he became scared and went to the kitchen area of the apartment. Although Alas denied any involvement in Corian's severe injuries, he gave the police specific details about her injuries that they had not yet discovered. For example, Alas revealed in his statement that Corian had been choked with a belt and that the objects that were used to impale her were plastic rods from the vertical blinds in the apartment. At the time, the police knew neither. During the interview, Victor Alas told the officers that he discarded the screwdriver in some bushes at a nearby church. 2 police officers immediately drove to the church and located the screwdriver where he had indicated. At the capital murder trial, a forensic DNA analyst with the Houston Forensic Science Center testified that Alas could not be excluded as a source of the DNA found on the screwdriver. A medical examiner testified about Corian's injuries and cause of death. She described multiple, severe injuries and informed the jury that most of those injuries occurred before Corian's death. Homicide Detective Condon testified that it appeared that it had to be more than one person involved in Corian's death, given the condition of her body and the very violent nature of her death. In his opinion, it took more than one person to commit this murder. Victor Alas and Reyes were convicted for strangling, stabbing, and sexually assaulting Corian Cervantes. The slaying was investigated as a satanic ritual killing because of the objects found at the scene. Reyes was convicted of capital murder after prosecutors shared letters he sent from jail stating the devil was directing him during the murder. Witnesses testified that Reyes bragged about the slaying as a means of selling his and Alas' souls to the devil.